All right, let's now cross over to Kisumu, where we are having Charles Ochome, who is the Chair Private Schools Association, to weigh in on the examination preparedness by the government and also by the Kenya National Examination Council.
And the exam season 2023 was launched yesterday by the CS Education, that is Ezekiel Mashogu, and we know that the three examinable national exams, that is the KPSEA, that's the KCPE, and also the KCSE, will be being examined from October through to November. And we have so many changes regarding the national examinations. Talk about the grading system, and of course the integrity of those exams are key issues that the CS underscored along with other stakeholders. And with me here is among the stakeholders Director Charles Ochome, who is the Director Golden Elite School here in Kisumu. But above all, he is the Chairperson National Association of Private Schools, also to share with us his insight, his opinion about the grading system and all the changes that have been that are characterizing this year's national examinations. Bwana Director, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, if you can just basically move here and talk to us. You were there when the CS was launching the 2023 national examination season. What really manifested to you yesterday?
Thank you so much. I was there yesterday at the stakeholders meeting at Mitiani House, South Sea. And I think there were two important things that were very excellent. One, touching on the integrity of the exams, and more so on early exposure of exams before they are done. In that line, I want to commend NEC and the ministry for bringing in the idea of picking exams twice in a day, so that there is no way somebody will have exams exposed before the time of doing them. Number two, the other thing is the grading system for students after they have done the exams. At the moment, we shall only have two compulsory subjects or two learning areas that will be graded, that is maths and languages. So the other 5 will be chosen from where the child or the student has performed well. And I think that's a good idea, which will make it easier for children to go to pursue further education, particularly at the university. What I didn't resonate well with was the idea that teachers that are going to supervise the exams must be, number one, TAC teachers, which is okay, must be employed by TAC, and therefore what about those who are not employed by TAC and are graded and accredited by Teacher Service Commission? I think the best would be that teachers who are accredited, that are already registered by the Teacher Service Commission, should be allowed to oversee the exams, both in the public schools and in the government schools. That's the only place which I didn't agree, and I think they should be able to relook at that.
What do you make it of? You said you don't really resonate well with the idea that non-TSC employees are barred from supervising the examinations here. But then somebody could argue that those employees of the TSC, they have some ethos that have been inculcated in them to ensure exam integrity. Someone could argue along that line. What do you say?
You didn't get me right. I said teachers who are registered by Teacher Service Commission are qualified to oversee the exams, whether they are in public schools or in private schools. So all the teachers who have qualified and are registered by Teacher Service Commission should be allowed to oversee the exams, because if they mess, their registration can be recalled. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
One of the arguments for the change in the grading system is that to allow as many candidates as possible to join the universities and other tertiary education. But some people can argue that this actually, the transition, or rather that increased transition from the secondary to tertiary and the universities actually exposes them in the sense that probably they do not have that the fees. We see there is now the new funding model. What do you make about now the increased chances of joining the universities and, of course, the tertiary centers?
We are not talking of increased chances of joining university per se. We are talking of a system that limits the children from getting good grades. That's what we are addressing here. A child can go to the university, a child can go to tertiary, a child can go to any university outside this country. But if we create a system that is barring them from performing, that's what we are talking about. That was not good. Where you insist for a child to get certain grades, they must have more than 5 compulsory subjects to be able to be graded to a certain grade. That's what we are addressing. And that was causing Kenya amongst the African countries to perform, to have very few students in qualifying for university degrees. Yeah, a child might not have money to go to the university, as you say, but he qualified. He can use that grade to do any other thing. Yes.
In terms of upholding the exam integrity, there has been a proposal to pick the exam from the storage and distribution twice in a day, yes? But then what more do you think should be done? What measures should be adopted to increase the integrity of the examination?
Well, the other measures that I would think of is that people who are administering exams should also themselves know that it is important to be sober, to know the future of this child depends on how credible he is able to perform in that exam. Because if you allow a child to get an A that he doesn't deserve, then that child can go to a course that he will not be able to perform at the higher level of learning. One example is if a child gets an A and is taken to an engineering course and he can't perform, you'll have ruined the future of that child. So it is important for a child to be guided, to allow the child to be able to do what he understands and what he can do and perfect and be able to perform in her future life as an adult. Exams are not just exams. They are supposed to lead children to pathways which lead them to career developments and at the end of it to be able to do something for a living. That's the preparation we have for our students. It's not just to pass an exam.
From your position as the National Chair, Kenya Private Schools Association, these exams will be written at a time when the country's meteorological department has predicted El Nino or continued rainfall. How prepared are the private schools in this region, not necessarily this region, but in the country, with regard to unfavorable climatic conditions?
Well, El Nino is an act of God, and I think we cannot say that we are prepared or not prepared. We have had El Nino here before. We have seen challenges that it brings, flooding and bridges overflowing. And therefore, I think when we were at the stakeholders meeting, NEC and particularly the Interior Ministry are called upon to be able to ensure that the exams reach destinations in time. And I think there was a sense of preparation. We have helicopters in this country, can crisscross the country to deliver the exams where they are supposed to be. And I think one good thing that the CEO talked about is that those areas that might be prone to El Nino should have invigilators and supervisors from those regions who understands those terrains. And I think that was a good observation, because if you take somebody from another place to a place that is flooding, they might not be able to do it very well. So I think the preparedness for that was shown to be perfect. I can't fault the government or the government or NEC. The preparedness was displayed, and I think it was perfect. And what happened, the stakeholders were from different ministries, not just two ministries. The ICT department were them, so the ministry was there, NEC was there, Ministry of Education was there, and stakeholders were also there. The Interior were also there. So It's a perfect arrangement. Let's hope for the best. Let's not be pessimistic.
And lastly, Director, we're talking about usually during exam season, there is what we call examination fever amongst candidates. What is your message to the candidates and also to the parents of the candidates?
Yeah, exam fever is a reality. Anybody who knows is facing a challenging situation always gets into a fever. We just need to encourage the students, the parents, the teachers. The fever is on everybody. Even the teachers that prepare these students are also getting into exam fever because they also want to perform. They want to see their students perform. The students get into fever because they feel they need to perform. So there's nothing that is going to happen that has never happened. And therefore, I think we should encourage one another, encourage the students, encourage the parents, encourage the teachers that we take it easy because this will come and go. Yeah. And I think the preparations that the students did, the teachers did, the parents did with their children is what will reflect at the end of the day. So we shouldn't be so much in exam fever. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Troy, that is Bernard Charles Ochome, who is actually the director, Golden Elites Academy here in Kisumu, but above all is the national chairperson, Kenya Private Schools Association here. We're talking about the exam season. This is 2023. And like you've heard in mention, we have talked about an array of issues, but key things is about the exam integrity and, of course, the preparedness. When we talk about the exam fever, and is thrown a challenge to examiners to ensure that these candidates actually their performance reflects their ability, such that in the case that they may perform well, but that does not necessarily reflect their capability, and of course that will have ruined their future. And of course another one is that the examination fever, it is there, yes, but it's calling upon all the parents and of course the candidates just to calm down, because this is just a test, but that doesn't necessarily put them in a corner. Well, we will continue talking to other stakeholders regarding this examination season 2023, but for now, Ben, let me just hand it back to you in studio to continue that wonderful interview. Troy.
Thank you, Wycliffe Okech, live from Kisumu, and thank you indeed for engaging Charles Ochome, who is the Chair Private Schools Association and also Director at the Golden Elite Schools. They are putting into perspective how also private schools are prepared for the national examination and some of the challenges that they have seen in regards to the Kenya national examinations. The ministry is keen on ensuring this time round there's no cheating and everyone does his or her best.